One of the things that I will quite often ask the students is what is their favourite poetry and what poetry they like.
I can't recite it, but I still remember when you were reading out loud, there was just something about the rhythm of saying words that mean absolutely nothing that was just really fun.
We have a few, we ban a brother, there who sheds his blood with me will be my brother. Ne'er he ne'er so vile, to gentle his imposition. And gentlemen in England now abed will feel themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhood cheap, while then he speaks of those who fought with us upon St. Crispin's Day.
À la claire fontaine, m'en allant promener, l'eau était si belle que je me suis baignée. Il est... non, à la claire fontaine, l'eau était si belle que je me suis baignée. Il y a longtemps que je t'aime et jamais je ne t'oublierai.
So I studied John Donne in A-level English literature, and I found the ecstasy and the flea of great joy. It's really interesting how he used very abstract ideas of a flea, a wasp, to discuss the concepts of sexual relations and inhibitions.
When I was 1, I had just begun. When I was 2, I was barely new. When I was 3, I was hardly me. When I was 4, I was not much more. When I was 5, I was barely alive. But now I'm 6, I'm as clever as ever, so I think I'll stay 6 forever and ever.
I think it's very important in poetry that you can express your feelings. For that reason, I don't like rhyming poetry, because I think that you're too busy with rhyming instead of expressing your feelings.
What need you, being come to sense, but fumble in a greasy till you have dried the marrow from the bone, and add the halfpence to the pence, and prayer till shivering prayer. For a man was born to pray and save. Romantic Ireland's dead and gone, it's with O'Leary in the grave.
Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the darkness of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare cast thy fearful symmetry?
Odată ca în povești a fost ca niciodată din rude mari împărătești o prea frumoasă fată. Și era una la părinți și mândră în toate cele, cum e fecioara între sfinți și luna între stele.
Between my finger and my thumb the squat pen rests, snug as a gun. Under my window a clean rasping sound, the spade sinks into the gravelly ground. My father digging, I look down.
Henry ind i landskabet bukker, takker og går ud igen. Ind i landskabet Henry bukker, takker og går ud igen. Ind i landskabet bukker og takker Henry og går ud igen.
I understand she is a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. I'm not going to say the last word.
Balkane, Balkane, Balkane moj, bude mi sila ni dobro mi stoj.
And 2 roads diverge in a yellow wood. I took the one not traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Navegar é preciso, viver não é preciso.
When Poetry Please comes on Radio 4 at night, I turn it off.
An orange did love the man who ate it, a feast for the eyes, its fine repast, his heart held fast, his greedy gaze.
The point of poetry is to, speak in short, meaningful phrases.
I must down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by, and the wheels kick and the wind's song and a white sail shaking, and a grey mist on the sea's face and a grey dawn breaking. I must down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied. And all I ask is a windy day and the white flags flying, and the flung spray and the blown spume and the seagulls crying. I must down to the sea again for the vagrant gypsy life, and the gull's way and the whale's way where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover.
My favourite poem is one by William Blake, and it's Little Girl Lost in Both Innocence and Experience.
People that like poetry are generally incredibly pretentious and boring.
I never enjoyed poetry in English, but when I edited the literary journal on campus here, I tried to bring poetry back to the LSE, because apparently no one knows very much about it. My favourite poem is the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. I used to be able to recite it, and I don't think I can anymore, but the seminal line for me is, I measure my life in coffee spoons.
My favorite quote about writing in general is from a Norwegian poet, and I'm going to say it first in Norwegian and then I'm going to translate it. It's Å skrive et spørsmål om å finne små nok ord for store nok følelser. Which means that to write is a question of finding small enough words for great enough emotions. And to the extent that poetry does that, then poetry is very good. But quite often poetry, unfortunately, becomes a question of finding big enough words for small enough emotions.
Poetry means addressing your emotions beautiful in one word like happy.